Everyone who has ever used a bathroom has faced the same problem. How do you clean yourself afterward? Today, the answer seems obvious. You reach for toilet paper, use it, and throw it away. But for most of human history, that answer did not exist. So how did ancient humans wipe before toilet paper? The obvious answer is simple. They used whatever was nearby: leaves, grass, stones, perhaps a handful of soft material. If you lived beside a forest, you used leaves. If you lived near a river, you used water. If you lived in a cold region, perhaps snow. It sounds primitive, but also completely practical. Human beings have always solved immediate problems with available materials. No toilet paper, no modern bathrooms, no convenience stores, just the body, the ground, and whatever nature provided. But here's the strange part. Archaeologists rarely find the objects people used for wiping. Most of them were organic. Leaves decay, grass disappears, cloth rots, wooden tools burn, break, or become soil. The evidence vanishes, long before the people who used it. So the question is not only what did ancient humans use, it is also, how could anyone possibly know? Archaeologists study several kinds of evidence. Written descriptions can record habits. Ancient latrines can preserve unusual materials. Fossilized waste, called coprolites, can reveal diet and parasites. But even these clues must be interpreted carefully. A piece of cloth in a toilet may have been used for wiping. It may also have been clothing, cleaning material, or simple rubbish. Ancient hygiene leaves a very incomplete record. The most ordinary actions are often the hardest to see. People rarely wrote down what everyone already understood. Nobody needed to explain that bodies had to be cleaned. They simply solved the problem, then moved on. That changes the method. Instead of searching for one ancient version of toilet paper, researchers compare environments, technologies, and surviving traces. The answer was never one object. It was a toolbox. The earliest humans probably relied heavily on water and natural materials. Water is effective, widely available, and does not need to be manufactured. Communities living beside rivers, lakes, or springs had an obvious cleaning resource. In many regions, washing remained common for thousands of years. Other people could use leaves, grass, moss, soft bark, animal fur, or smooth stones. The choice depended on texture, temperature, local plants, and personal custom. A leaf could be useful, but not every leaf was safe. Some were rough, thorny, poisonous, or covered with irritating sap. Imagine living beside a river without a bathroom, plumbing, or paper. You would not need to invent a universal product. You would use the landscape itself. But here's the catch. The landscape changed from place to place, so ancient hygiene changed with it. In the ancient Mediterranean, written sources give us clearer evidence. Greek and Roman authors mention stones and other materials used after defecation. One Greek proverb even suggested that 3 stones could be enough. That does not prove everyone used stones. It shows that the idea was familiar enough to enter ordinary language. Roman public toilets provide another famous clue. They may have used a sponge attached to a stick, known as a tersorium. The sponge was reportedly rinsed in water, sometimes with salt or vinegar. This explanation has become popular because it sounds like an ancient cleaning device, but researchers still debate exactly how the object was used. It may have helped clean the body. It may also have been a toilet brush. Ancient texts are not clear, and archaeological examples are rare. The famous sponge on a stick is evidence, but not a complete answer. And that is when the evidence becomes unexpectedly uncomfortable. If a tersorium was shared, public sanitation may have created another problem. A tool rinsed in communal water could carry organisms between users. A recent study of a mineralized vessel from the Roman city of Viminacium found parasite remains associated with a public bath and toilet complex. That discovery does not prove the sponge was shared. It does show that ancient toilets could spread disease, even in societies with impressive engineering. Aqueducts and sewers did not automatically create modern hygiene. In China, the evidence points toward different solutions. Bamboo and wooden wiping sticks were used in some regions more than 2,000 years ago. Archaeologists have recovered such objects from latrine contexts, especially in areas where the climate helped preserve wood, Paper also appeared earlier in China than in the Western world. By the early medieval period, written sources describe paper being used for personal cleaning. But paper was not always cheap. High-quality paper could be reserved for writing, administration, or ritual. Toilet paper existed, but it did not instantly become ordinary for everyone. Some texts even warn against using paper containing sacred words or classical passages. That warning reveals an important point. Paper could be used for hygiene, but its value still depended on what was written on it. Meanwhile, Japan used wooden sticks called chuugi during the Nara period, around the 8th century. These sticks were associated with toilet use and personal cleaning. Again, this was not one global invention. It was a local technology shaped by available materials and cultural habits. But here's the catch. These surviving tools may represent only organized urban communities. For most people, the solution was probably less permanent and less visible. A handful of grass leaves no archaeological label. A smooth stone does not announce its purpose. A stream leaves no artifact behind. In medieval Europe, latrines sometimes preserved scraps of cloth, plant material, and other discarded objects. At Paderborn in Germany, sealed medieval latrines preserved fragments of finely woven silk. Archaeologists suggested that some pieces may have been used for cleaning after they were no longer valuable as clothing. That possibility reminds us that personal hygiene was also about social class. Wealthy people could use soft cloth, wool, linen, or even luxury fabric. Poorer people used cheaper local materials. The body was the same, but the available options were not. So when did toilet paper change everything? The answer is that it didn't. Toilet paper was not a sudden replacement for one universal ancient method. It was another option added to a much older collection of practices. Water remained important. Cloth remained useful. Leaves, sticks, and other materials continued in different places. In the United States, Joseph Gaiety marketed a medicated toilet paper in 1857. Later, perforated rolls made paper easier to store and use. Industrial production finally made the product cheap, standardized, and widely available. That was the real transformation, not invention alone, but mass production. The history of wiping is therefore not a story about ancient people being dirty. It is a story about adaptation. Humans used water where water was available. They used plants where plants were available. They used cloth when cloth became affordable. They developed specialized tools when cities created shared toilets. No rules, no parents, no civilization could remove the problem. Every human body creates the same practical question. Every society answers it, with the materials, beliefs, and technologies around them. And this is why a trivial bathroom habit becomes an anthropological story. It reveals trade routes, social inequality, climate, technology, disease, and cultural values. It shows how ordinary life survives in the archaeological record, even when the evidence is unpleasant or incomplete. The ancient answer was never one thing. It was whatever worked, and somehow it always had to.